With the WINN FM News, I am Kevin Brown.
And I am Yolana Weeks.
Our top stories. Nubian Greer talks bold vision for constituency number 2.
Ministry of Economic Development and Investment launches a survey to assess the VAT reduction impact in St. Kitts and Nevis. Steep cutback in NOAA's operations and staffing drives concerns across St. Kitts and Nevis and the region.
PAM leader talks future of party with introduction of new candidates ahead of elections. Guyana's president and Azruddin Mohammed clash over luxury vehicle import. Grand Bacolet workers protests in Grenada. Internationally, more than 4 million refugees have fled Sudan's civil war, United Nations says. Now, the details. Following the People's Action Movement's 59th annual convention on Sunday, June 1st, PAM hosted a press conference where Nubian Griot outlined a candid and stirring vision for constituency number 2, centering on addressing deep-rooted community challenges and reviving hope for Central Bastille. Nubian Griot lays bare constituency 2's struggle and urgency for renewal.
In constituency number 2, we are plagued with a bit more than the other constituencies. We suffer from a lack of leadership for many years.
Griot reflected candidly on the long-standing hardships in the heart of Central Bastille. He detailed how crime has been a persistent issue in the area, exacerbated following the dissolution of the former Team Unity government.
We only started to find solutions for this crime issue under a Team Unity government. And then when the Team Unity fell apart, as my colleague said, it seems the crime issue just spiraled out of control again. And it has fragmented our communities, our school. The Irish Town Primary School is less than what it was in the past.
He recalled the once strong community institutions now diminished under years of neglect and fractured leadership. He urged a return and reform of the peace program.
I was a part of that, the system that dealt with the peace program, and saw the benefits of what the peace program can offer. And that is one of the things that we have to bring back on stream. The peace program was not a perfect program. It had its flaws, and in hindsight, you could look back and see what they are, and in moving forward, find corrective solutions to what the downside of what is dubbed as the peace program, and trying to find those meaningful solutions so that we can deal with crime from the root and not put a plaster on it, and eradicate those sort of criminal activities in our community.
Emphasizing the interconnectedness of social issues, Griot said that education and opportunity remain vital yet overlooked areas.
When you look at McKnight, or even in Central Bastille, we probably have the least amount of professionals coming out of Central Bastille because of what the stigma that is placed on our community.
The young people face restricted freedoms and a pervasive negative stigma that confines their potential.
You can't play outside anymore. You can't have fun outside anymore. You have to lock down early. It's a mess.
Housing also remains a glaring concern. Griot proposed the need for a comprehensive long-term housing strategy.
Housing is also a big issue in our community. We need to find a permanent solution for housing for the residents of Central Bastille. And to date, we have not found that solution. I believe that it's an easy solution. We need like a 50-year plan for our community. We need to do some restructuring of our community, putting in better roads, better infrastructure, and finding better housing solutions.
He expressed frustration over dilapidated community facilities, including sporting venues.
We have sporting facilities, and they are under-maintained, running down, can't even use them properly. I'm the president of the Garden Hotspurs Football Club. We need lighting down there. The minister knows that. The government knows that. And we have not had any solution to that problem for quite a number of years. The facilities run down. It's used by the school, and we can't get any movement, any forward movement with it.
Turning to employment challenges, Griot sharply criticized the excuses often given for youth underemployment, stressing missed opportunities.
We have a serious problem with underemployment and unemployment in Central Bastia. You just normally hear people say, oh, tongue people don't like work. But you don't give them opportunities. They don't get any real meaningful opportunities. All the youths from between 15 to whatever age, the best they could do is put you on the step or put you on parks and beaches and you walk around cleaning the area. No, nothing is wrong with keeping the area clean. But what I find to be disrespectful is that the only thing that we're good for is to clean grass and clean drain.
Griot proposed opening pathways to entrepreneurship and skills development in agriculture and technology.
How about we go and offer them scholarships? How about we give them more training? How about we set aside, we say, look, you cutting grass on the side of the road every day and use a talented footballer. Come, we can put you in the park from 8 in the morning to about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And you get your same pep money, but we have you there training. So when national games come up, you could be more than ready.
He emphasized the need to empower young people to seize opportunities beyond menial tasks, thereby breaking the cycle of poverty and stagnation. Reflecting on his motivations for entering politics, Griot said,
And that is one of the main reasons why I entered into politics, because I had no political ambitions, none whatsoever. But the love for people and the love to see people strive, the love for people to feel good in your heart, actually lie down and smile. But I just make his life different. I just improve his circumstances. And that is why I'm here. Me here to play politics, I'm not a politician.
He further elaborated on the ambitious housing plan he envisions for the constituency, clarifying that it is designed as a long-term transformative strategy.
That plan is a 50-year plan. What we would have to do, and we did a bit of discussion on it on the air, but essentially what it is the government would have to buy back a lot of those lands from Keon Street, come right down to the Bay Road, and redevelop that area where we could either build buildings, 4 or 5-story buildings where we could house more people and provide green spaces and parks where our kids could still play, but we could house more people comfortably, provide subsidized housing where our lower income folks can still afford to purchase and own eventually a 3-bedroom house, or let's say a 4-bedroom house, or a young family could still own a decent 2 or 3-bedroom house.
He highlighted current land use problems that exacerbate the housing shortage.
But what happens is that the lands were sold in very confined space. So most persons who are constructing or building homes in McKnight or the surrounding regions build on the property line. So there's not much yard space. There isn't much, the most you could do is go up on a very, very small piece of land. And so it doesn't offer a lot of opportunities for persons to expand or even get a nice kitchen in the house or a nice bathroom or live comfortably. It provides a sanitation problem.
Griot also brought attention to the issue of abandoned properties that affect the quality of life and health standards in the area.
We have a lot of abandoned lots down there that we need to put policies in place on how to deal with it. Sometimes the folks die and the family gone abroad and nobody come back for 50 years and it stays there, used for illegal activities, rodents, mosquitoes, and becomes a health issue.
He called for policies to address abandoned lots, land distribution, and sanitation to revitalize Central Bastia.
Policies need to get in place to deal with the abandoned lots, and also, moreover, policies need to get in place to deal with the distribution of lands, sanitation issue that would come up eventually, and reorganize and reshuffle Central Bastia, which is in the heart of town and is an eyesore at the end of the day. Also for Newtown, I believe Newtown have a lot of that but I won't speak on that.
As St. Kitts and Nevis approaches a new electoral cycle, the PAM Convention and Nubian Greer's address underscore a renewal of commitment to tackling critical issues in constituency number 2 with an eye towards sustainable solutions rooted in leadership, community, and opportunity. The full scope of these visions and initiatives will soon face the test of the polls as PAM positions itself to lead with legacy and resilience in the years ahead.
The Ministry of Economic Development and Investment launched a value-added tax assessment VAT household survey for residents of St. Kitts and Nevis. The survey aims to assess the impact of the VAT reduction program 17% to 13% on households across the Federation. The survey focuses on how the VAT reduction impacts one's purchasing power, the general household budget, and the economy, assesses whether there were instances when VAT was not applied to purchases, and also elicits consumers' preferences on the continuation or discontinuation of the VAT reduction. The government of St. Kitts and Nevis announced a reduction in the standard value-added tax VAT rate from 17% to 13% for the first half of 2025. The groundbreaking initiative, dubbed the VAT Relief Holiday, took effect on January 1, 2025. The VAT Relief Holiday, alongside the highly attractive first-of-its-kind financial assistance program, the Budget Boost Wallet, was launched to alleviate financial pressures on consumers, support local businesses, and stimulate economic stability. Now, in the 6th month of the year, the VAT Relief Holiday, like the Budget Boost Wallet, will be paid out for the final time in its inaugural season, according to the initial notice released by the government of St. Kitts and Nevis. The value-added tax was first introduced almost 15 years ago on November 1, 2010. St. Kitts and Nevis and other Caribbean islands, the preparation for the 2025 transatlantic hurricane season could be under threat following the Donald Trump administration's funding cut for the United States National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA. In the Caribbean, people rely on data collection, weather models, and forecasting and climate analysis from NOAA, but with a proposed cut of almost $1.7 billion from the institution's budget for the fiscal year 2026 and staffing reduction, disaster preparedness officials in the region are forced to make some changes. Acting Senior Met Officer in St. Kitts, Dinell Dixon, spoke to WINN FM on Monday, June 2, sharing that a coordinated effort is underway to seek another alternative.
This could have significant repercussions here on us in the Caribbean as we depend on NOAA for weather-related information. Regionally, the Caribbean Meteorological Organization has devised a plan to foster partnerships with UK Met to fill the gap that could be left as a result of the budget cuts in the US.
The sudden funding cuts emphasized the importance of resilience in the region, especially as the funding cut for NOAA was unveiled approximately 1 month shy of the start of the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season. Describing it as a spur-of-the-moment situation for the region, Dixon said the St. Kitts Meteorological Office remains committed to its goal of providing timely and accurate weather information to help save lives and livelihoods. St. Kitts and Nevis typically partners with Antigua and Barbuda to assist with the provision of forecast information during the hurricane season. However, reports from Antigua and Barbuda highlighted concerns stemming from the steep cutback in funding for major U.S. organizations. The Antigua and Barbuda Broadcasting Services summarized the concerns in a report on June 2. Quote, key disaster readiness and forecasting programs in Antigua and Barbuda are taking a hit due to major funding cuts from United States partners such as USAID and NOAA. NODS, National Office of Disaster Services, Preparedness and Response Manager Anderson Tewitt says critical training has been affected, which could end up straining the national budget. Meanwhile, Director of Antigua and Barbuda Meteorological Services, Dale Destin, reveals the projects like early flood and tsunami warnings were shelved because of the funding cuts. He also says there's also growing concern over the future of vital tools like satellite imagery and hurricane hunter missions. Unquote. The funding cuts are unprecedented, especially for small island developing states, which continue to plead with major countries and institutions for climate funding and more tangible support. Meanwhile, Brian Dyer, director of the Nevis Disaster Management Department, told WINN FM on June 2 that the funding cuts in some of the organizations in the United States mostly impacted training programs. Dyer, in a positive twist, said the funding cuts provide an opportunity for the department to become more innovative and resilient, while Plus, also highlighting that the local administration has to step up to the plate to fill the necessary funding gaps.
Right, from disaster management lens, the reduction in funding for some of the U.S. agencies that usually assist the disaster management here in the Federation, we were saddened by the departure of some of the funding. Some may have been restored in some limited capacity, but this has forced us in disaster management to be more resilient and to find creative ways in funding our training programs. Whether we approach other donor agencies or we conduct training outside of the traditional 84 hours to minimize some of the fees associated with meals. But we have to move forward. We cannot rely forever on external funding. Our local government will also have to step up to the plate and fill funding gaps, as well as we can write projects and acquire funding for some of these training programs.
The U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration is the premier institution for weather research and analysis in the world. Its deployment of satellites, radars, aeroplanes, and ocean buoys ensures the creation of timely weather forecasts and alerts. For the Caribbean, which is bracing for a reportedly erratic 2025 hurricane season, timely and accurate weather and climate research is paramount.
Under the theme Legacy and Leadership, Resilient and Ready, the People's Action Movement, PAM, convened its 59th annual convention on Sunday, June 1st, 2025. The event marked a significant milestone as PAM celebrated 60 years of sustained dedication to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. The convention not only commemorated this enduring legacy, but also charted a forward-looking path for the party and the nation. At a press conference held on June 2nd, 2025, the party leader, Natasha Shani Gray-Brooks, who is also the candidate for constituency number 1, elaborated on the newly announced candidates to contest the general elections constitutionally due in 2027 and the future direction of the People's Action Movement. Her remarks underscored a critical moment for the Federation and the pressing need for leadership that prioritizes the ordinary citizen.
This is a pivotal moment for our Federation. A moment when the clear choice for a brighter future takes even more definite shape. For far too long, the current administration has operated under a cloud of uncertainty, of unfulfilled promises, and of a lack of clear vision for the ordinary Kittitian and Nevisian. Our people deserve more. They deserve clear leadership, genuine representation, and a government that is truly for them, not just for a privileged few. Today, our party, the People's Action Movement, reaffirms its commitment to building that future. We are not just about criticism, we are about construction. And the People's Action Movement is not just about building the party, it's also about building St. Kitts and Nevis. We are not just about pointing out problems. We are about presenting solutions. And solutions require strong, principled, and dedicated individuals willing to roll up their sleeves and work tirelessly for our nation.
She emphasized that PAM's candidate selection process remains transparent, fair, and rigorous, rooted firmly in democratic principles designed to ensure that the party fields candidates of the highest caliber.
Our party has always been committed to identifying candidates who not only embody the core values and vision of our party, but who also possess the integrity, experience, and dedication to effectively represent the interests of all citizens and residents of the respective constituencies.
According to Article 12 of the party's constitution, candidates must be in good standing with PAM.
I can say that the man on my left and the man on my right are both in good standing with the party. Each relevant constituency group shall recommend persons, if they so desire, for consideration. The political leader can also recommend persons, and individuals can also recommend persons to the political leader. The national executive can also recommend persons, and individuals can apply if they so desire. The final selection of the candidate shall be done by a committee comprised of the political leader, who is the chair and who also has the casting vote, 2 members of the national executive, and 3 members of the relevant constituency group. I can say that in both cases, the process was followed according to the law of the Constitution.
While sometimes multiple applicants vie for candidacy in constituencies 2 and 4, the newly introduced candidates Nubian Griot and Azar Gums respectively were the sole applicants. Despite being lone applicants, both underwent comprehensive vetting and interviews to ensure alignment with PAM's principles and a deep understanding of constituency needs.
The People's Action Movement is committed to ensuring that all candidates meet the highest ethical standards.
Introducing the candidates, she painted a vivid picture of their credentials and dedication. For the critical constituency number 2, she presented Nubian Griot as
the highly successful entrepreneur and a fierce champion for the ordinary man and woman.
For the strategic constituency number 4, Gray Brooks introduced Azar Gums. Not only is he renowned in the legal field, but also within the church community and broader social development circles. His commitment to youth advancement and social justice has garnered widespread respect.
On my left, for the vital constituency of St. Christopher number 4, a constituency that we cannot win this government without. We are thrilled to announce the legal eagle in the person of Mr. Azar Gums. He is a household name, not just in the legal field, but also in the church community and just for community enhancement. His tireless efforts in advancing our youth and his unwavering commitment to social justice have earned his respect and admiration of all who knows him.
Gray Brooks stressed that both individuals exemplify the core PAM values: integrity, service, innovation, and an unequivocal love for the people and the nation.
These individuals, Mr. Griot and Mr. Gums, embody the core values of the People's Action Movement: integrity, service, innovation, and a profound love for people and our nation.
The introduction of Griot and Gums sends a resounding message that PAM is severe about ushering in a new era of responsible governance and genuine progress. Gray Brooks expressed confidence that the party is building
a team that will deliver, a team that will listen, and a team that will lead with honesty and courage.
Looking ahead, Gray Brooks and PAM intend to engage directly with the people, constituency by constituency, to share their comprehensive platform. She remains steadfast in the belief that these candidates, along with others anticipated in the future, will prove to be the right choice for St. Kitts and Nevis.
Our democracy is strengthened when dedicated and capable individuals step forward to serve. We encourage all those who feel they have a contribution to make to consider participating in the process and also to consider being involved in rescuing our nation.
Issuing a call to action that echoes the party's motto of service and resilience, the convention and the unveiling of new candidates highlights PAM's commitment to strategic leadership grounded in merit, community connection, and an unwavering focus on the betterment of the Federation. In regional news, Guyana's president and Azruddin Mohammed clash over luxury vehicle import, News Source Guyana reports.
President Irfan Ali, while not denying that he did offer some assistance, the businessman turned politician Azruddin Mohammed over 4 years ago with the customs clearance of a luxury sports car, he said the invoice with the true value of the car was never presented to him. In response to a video statement that was released by the businessman Azruddin Mohammed, which showed purported text conversations with the president over the clearance of the vehicle, the president said Mr. Mohammed maintained a false claim about the cost of the vehicle. He said at no point did Azruddin Mohammed share with him the correct invoice indicating a value of $695,000, which he said they now know is the accurate cost of the vehicle. The president said instead Mohammed maintained the false claim that the vehicle was worth $75,000, the same figure he presented to the Guyana Revenue Authority. Businessman Azruddin Mohammed, who recently announced his run for the presidency, was charged last week for tax evasion and making false declarations to the Guyana Revenue Authority in relation to the importation of the luxury Lamborghini sports car back in 2020. In a video posted to his social media page, Mohammed questioned why the government was now reviewing documents in relation to the importation of the vehicle. He accused the president and the vice president of both being aware of the importation of the vehicle.
On December the 7th, the car arrived. I cleared the car, paid the duty, $50 million in duty. I messaged him and I thanked him. Chief, all good with the car, thanks. The day after, I missed 2 calls. This is the car here at my workshop. We were doing some repairs on the car because it had issues. Now, this is the trump card. This is the trump card. They mentioned, Barra Jagdia and Irfan Ali both mentioned a couple days ago that they had no knowledge, no dealing whatsoever with this Lamborghini. They had no access to no documents. They didn't even know about this car when it arrived. So look here. This is the SWIFT transfer payment for the Lamborghini. It was sent through Republic Bank on the 7th of October 2020. This is Republic Bank stamp here.
The text messages show that just 1 month after the president took office, Mr. Azruddin Mohammed reached out to him, questioning whether if he were to pay $50 million in taxes for the importation of the vehicle, whether he would still face a fight down from the Commissioner General of the GRA, Godfrey Stacia. He said the president called him directly in response to that query. Mohammed said he later sent a message to the president when he was able to clear the vehicle and pay the taxes on it in December of 2020. He also showed a message that he said he sent to the president with the payment transfer documents showing the cost he claims he paid for the luxury vehicle. Mohammed said he contacted the president again in January when he was blocked from having the car registered. He complained to the president that he had sent the vehicle to be registered, but that it was blocked by the GRA Commissioner General.
Well, I had to wait to get a special number, PZZ 4000. So it took a couple weeks for the number to reach close to that number. So I submitted the documents to register the car, and they called and said they have some issues with Stacia. He doesn't want to register the car. So I sent Irfan these messages. Chief, if I sent to register the Lamborghini to the license office, and Stacia told them not to register it until he gives instructions. Chief Stacia stressed me and the old man over the last 5 years and stuff all about out of us when PNC was in power. First time I ever hear that the Commissioner General got to know when a vehicle registered. He said will be dealt with. I responded, okay, Chief, thanks.
Mohammed said in response, the president told him in a message that the issue would be dealt with. He said he later reminded the president about the intervention he was seeking and received another message from the president indicating that the matter had been sorted. President Ali in his statement said Azruddin Mohammed lied about the cost of the vehicle. He said the government is now aware of not one but a series of financial transfers made to the same company, verifying what was actually paid for the car. The president said that is the matter before us. The president said he lied about the value of the car. He said based on the facts now presented by the U.S. authorities, Mohammed did lie and presented a falsified invoice to the Guyana Revenue Authority. The video of the messages between the president and the businessman that was shared by the businessman also showed several other conversations between the two, but those conversations were blurred by the businessman. The GRA wants Mohammed to pay the correct taxes on the imported luxury vehicle, claiming that he made false declarations about the cost when the vehicle was imported almost 5 years ago. Azruddin Muhammad and his father, along with their businesses, were sanctioned by the U.S. government last year over claims of tax evasion on the valuing of gold exports and bribery payments. Government Permanent Secretary May Thomas was also sanctioned over her alleged involvement with the Muhammads in some of their alleged wrongdoings. Earlier this year, following a request from Guyana, the U.S. government provided details of its probe of the sanctioned individuals, triggering local investigations. The Muhammads once enjoyed close ties with the governing PPP, with the father even serving as a PPP candidate at the last local government elections. However, the close ties started to drift apart as the younger Muhammad started to showcase his political ambitions, and the sanctions from the U.S. were instituted. The Muhammads have continuously claimed no wrongdoing, while Vice President Barrett Jagdeo has described the family as a criminal cabal.
Grand Bacolet workers protests in Grenada. Grenada Broadcasting Network has the details.
We need the CBA sign with the stroke of a pen. We need the CBA sign with the stroke of a pen.
The sound of protests echoed outside the Grand Bacolet Juvenile Rehabilitation Center on Monday morning as employees voiced their frustration over long outstanding wage increases, retroactive payment, and other unresolved employment-related concerns. Backed by their union, the workers held placards highlighting the hardship they face, stating that their current wages can barely cover basic living expenses. Speaking with the GBN News team, the workers pointed to a major grievance, the long-delayed signing of their collective agreement, which has been pending since February. The lack of a signed agreement, they say, leaves them in limbo, especially regarding essential healthcare coverage and retirement benefits. They are also still awaiting retroactive payments dating back to 2017.
Current retroactive that is being owed is for the period 2017 to 2022. And then we didn't receive any increase for 2023, so that is owed to the staff as well. And they have yet to apply the 2025 increase of 5%. We're talking about thousands of dollars here being owed the staff, right? As well as the signing of the CBA. One of the things in the CBA that was agreed upon in principle is permanency for staff. And if that isn't signed, then it means that is just left in the wind. And you can't have persons going to the bank without job security.
So we've been owed a 5%. We supposed to get a 5% increase, and that wasn't done. We also supposed to get a 4%. That wasn't done. There are other issues that was highlighted in the CBA, such as retirement payments.
Workers emphasized the sensitive nature of their jobs and warned that continued neglect could affect their performance.
We also want to highlight that the children with whom we are working, children in conflict with the law, that they need people who are committed. And so you can't have staff turning over quickly. We need people who are permanent. The children need people who are committed, who love them, because they're here for rehabilitation. And if workers are not satisfied, then that can also affect how we do our work. And over the years, we have not let this stop us from doing what we need to do to help our children, because we are committed to seeing our children being rehabilitated.
Union Representative Augustine David said he's baffled by the delay in finalizing the agreement, noting that after a year of negotiations, the process has come to a standstill.
Since February of this year, we finished negotiating the CBA. And we're waiting, like already in June now, so almost 5 months, and we have not got a response. You're waiting another year or what to get it approved. Correspondence was sometime this week. I wrote to the chairman and asked him to and inform him that we have industrial actions. Not even a courtesy response.
With the board of the Juvenile Rehabilitation Center expected to meet next week, the union is demanding urgent answers to avoid any escalation in protest action.
For Bacolet to grow, the pastor has to go. For Bacolet to grow, the pastor has to go.
Rena P. Thomas, GBN News.
We now bring you these international reports.
The number of people who have fled Sudan since the beginning of its civil war has surpassed 4 million. UN refugee agency officials said on Tuesday. Here's agency spokesperson Eugene Byun.
A devastating milestone in what is the world's most damaging displacement crisis at the moment.
Byun said if the conflict continues, the agency expects thousands more to flee, putting regional and global stability at stake. Sudan erupted in violence in April 2023 and shares borders with 7 countries, including Chad, Egypt, and Eritrea. UNHCR's Dessous Patrice Ahunsu said shelter conditions are dire in Chad due to funding shortages, with only 14% of funding appeals met.
More than 800,000 refugees more has crossed into Chad, bringing the total of refugees, the total of Sudanese refugees in Chad to 1.2 million. Say the number of Sudanese refugees has tripled without a significant increase in funding. Life-saving assistance cannot be delivered at the scale and at the speed that is required.
Ahunsu said many of those fleeing Sudan reported surviving terror and violence. Other refugees told stories of armed groups taking their horses and donkeys and forcing adults to draw their own family members by cart as they fled, said Ahunsu.
The aftermath of a major prison break in Pakistan. Worried for prisoners' safety following a series of earthquake tremors, officials say inmates were brought out of their cells for a head count. But then, chaos. Prisoners turned on security guards, seizing their weapons and triggering a gunfight. At least one prisoner was killed and several guards injured. Hundreds of inmates escaped.
There was a total of 6,000 prisoners at the time of evacuation. 216 prisoners managed to escape. We have recaptured 78.
Family members have gathered outside the prison, desperate for news about their loved ones.
My son Hamza was imprisoned here. He was an addict. He was caught by police for using drugs. I met my son here yesterday. Then I heard this news last night that prisoners have escaped from here. I am here to inquire about my son. I'm worried about him.
My son is a prisoner. They're not telling me his whereabouts, rather baton charging. There are no rules and regulations. They're not even telling me whether my son is alive or dead.
Officials say such operations are underway for those still on the run, after one of the largest prison breakouts in Pakistan's history. Hamza Mohammed, Al Jazeera.
Just received the official final results in South Korea's snap presidential election. And as we've been reporting, the Liberal candidate Lee Jae-myung has won the presidency at the highest turnout for decades. The election was called after the previous president, Yoon Suk-yeol, was impeached for attempting to impose martial law. The new president's inauguration is expected on Wednesday. Mr. Lee said he would do his utmost not to disappoint the expectations of voters and would work from day one to fix the economy and ensure there are no more coup attempts.
The first mission that you have granted me was to overcome the insurrection and not to threaten the civilian with the weapons that shouldn't be used against the people. And secondly, I will recover the economy and recover the people's lives.
Well, the defeated candidate, Kim Moon-soo, conceded shortly after Mr. Lee's victory speech. In a short address, he thanked his supporters and wished Mr. Lee luck. Take a listen.
Honorable South Korean people, I will accept the decision made by the South Korean people. And I'd like to congratulate newly elected candidate, Mr. Lee. And I will not forget all the support from the people of South Korea. And I also like to thank my colleagues from the party for their hard work. South Korea has been constantly moving forward despite the threat and difficult times. I also like to sincerely thank the South Korean people for their overflowing support for someone who is not good enough.
You were listening to the WINN FM 98.9 newscast. Our top stories were: Nubian Greer talks bold vision for constituency number 2.
Ministry of Economic Development and Investment launches a survey to assess the VAT reduction impact in St. Kitts and Nevis. Steep cutback in NOAA's operations and staffing drives concerns across St. Kitts and Nevis and the region.
PAM leader talks future of party with introduction of new candidates ahead of elections. Guyana's president and Azruddin Mohammed clash over luxury vehicle import. Grand Bacolet workers protests in Grenada. Internationally, more than 4 million refugees have fled Sudan's civil war, United Nations says. Thank you for listening.